Does practice make perfect? And I know, you already know what I'm going to say. We've talked about this before. As my son likes to remind me, that practice doesn't make perfect, it just makes better. And how beautiful is that? And just a warning, I'm going to get really weird with this one. So I'm a big proponent of squashing the idea of perfection and the idea of perfect balance and other things that are perfectly perfect representations of perfection. Well, here's the thing. I think practice does make perfect. Wait, what? It's our perspective of what perfection is that's imperfect. See, perfection to me is the imperfection. It is the imbalance. It is the chaos of it all. Even the definition of perfection is imperfect. The condition, state, or quality of being free, or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. As free as possible from all flaws or defects? Well, if it's not totally free of flaws, is it really perfect? Perfection for me is the state of things as they are in the present moment, even if they are effed up. See, we've been taught perfection is flawlessness, but that's a load of baloney. We cannot have perfection without imperfection. If we had perfection all the time, then what would be the point? Seriously, what would be the point of anything? We would have nothing to compare it to. We don't know joy without suffering. If there wasn't any suffering and everything was joyful all the time, then what would we have to compare the joy to? Nothing. So would it even be joy at that point? I think not. I believe everything exists within a spectrum. And I mean everything within existence resides somewhere within this spectrum. So good and evil, black and white, yes and no, this or that. And even if a person proclaims to exist perpetually within a state of one extreme of that spectrum, they cannot. So I don't believe a person can be all good. As long as we have the ability to be something other than what we claim to be, we cannot exist within one extreme. Meaning a person who is all good can still do bad. And even if they are all good, that's only from a certain perspective. I mean, would a person who honestly says they could exist within one extreme or the other even have to state that fact? And what would be the point to life to be stuck in such a place of extremities? So that just doesn't make sense to me. But it begs the question, like, what happens if something doesn't exist somewhere within the spectrum? Does that make it God? Well, I don't believe so. That's making God separate from ourselves, which I know some people believe that, and more power to them. But I have this to say about that. Whatever may be beyond existence is truly incomprehensible to that which exists. So we should not pretend to know, and I believe no one knows anything other than their own truth, and that's a private matter. However, there are those who believe we are all just one. We are all part of the same thing. And we've talked about this before as well. And I tend to lean this way. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I believe nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, can exist outside of what exists. If it does, then it doesn't exist. And that's still some sort of form of existence. So anything from the micro to the macro is all part of the same thing. And if everything within existence is all part of existence itself, then we are all somewhere within the spectrum of existence. And at the same time, we are all of existence at once. This is perfection. The absolute imperfection of existence is what perfection is. At least that's what makes sense to me. Because to be honest, none of this, and I mean none of existence whatsoever in any sort of way, makes sense to me. It's all a big What the F, as far as I'm concerned. And here's the thing, we're all stuck in it. So if we're all stuck in it, and you know your own suffering and you know your own joy, then just know that we all experience that suffering and that joy. So shouldn't we be a lot nicer to each other and love one another and quit acting like a bunch of beeholes to one another? I think so. We're all experiencing the same illusion. And as Lujan Matus says, I suffer your illusion and you suffer mine. Now let that sit with you, because there are layers to it. So, to wrap this up, I say let's all go out there and be perfectly imperfect, but perfectly imperfect. A lot of tongue twisters with this one, but let's not be jerks about it. All right. All right, everyone. As always, I love you, and until next time, peace. I'm this guy right here.